Hello and welcome to Techopia Live. Thank you very much for joining us today, whether you are on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or even on live stream. Thank you for being a part of, once again, showcasing what is happening within tech and in our community. Today, we are finally sitting down with these two gentlemen that we have been dying to get on the show. You have been in the news since 2016, and we've been wanting to talk to you. There's been so much evolution. So firstly, let me share who we have here. We have Roy Chartier, CTO and co-founder, and also Tyler Nelson, executive director and co-founder of Cancer Computer. So gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you so much for taking some time to talk about this fascinating business and this fascinating non-for-profit that you have started. So I'm going to start with you, Roy. When we hear Cancer Computer, I'd like you to explain to us firstly, what do you do? What do you specialize in specifically? And then maybe you can share with me the next question, why Cancer Computer? Why cancer specifically you are focusing on?
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to actually go to the second part first. Okay. Cancer Computer, it was an idea of mine in about 2015. I was doing a lot of research in high performance computing, high throughput computing, and one thing I noticed was there was a growth in demand for things like genomics and data, but the funding by the governments at all levels and even industry was not matching. So and this was spreading. It was getting worse year by year, and it has. So there was this gap. So we thought, hey, there's an opportunity here to perhaps get some used gear, previously enjoyed gear, and get it processing some science. And we hope to do that under the umbrella of a charity where we get people to donate the hardware, donate some co-location facilities to be able to do that. Now, the type of science we've been doing so far has been largely around structural biology, and that involves the shape of proteins, how drugs interact with proteins, how to figure out how to design custom proteins to tell these proteins to do things. So, and in cancer, generally a cell, goes bad or goes rogue and it starts reproducing uncontrollably. So if there's a way you can figure out, hey, look, here's a drug to get this cancer to stop, or here's a protein to be able to turn that cell off, that's the goal. The thing about it is, proteins are so difficult to understand at a mathematical level because you're simulating physics. So the computation involved is absolutely enormous, right? So that's where the gap exists. So when we started in 2015, we were basically nobody, and I checked our stats a couple of days ago, and out of 133 research institutes in the United States on something called the Open Science Grid, for cancer research, we are number one. Wow. Now, if you figure out, we're just a small not-for-profit, and we're competing against major educational institutions, that shows you that there is indeed a gap there.
I think it also shows the success of ultimately the business model that we've enabled, right, to further our cause and further the cause for the search for the cure to cancer, which we absolutely do believe will be found. It will be found first, not in wet biology. It'll actually be found first in a simulated model in a cloud computing platform. When we start to, and most people, because we hear every day, whether it's the Canadian Cancer Society or the many other very great organizations that operate as not-for-profits that try to further cancer research. Most of every dollar, and I think it's in the high 80 cents of every dollar that is donated to all of the various charity organizations. Most of those dollars, those 80 plus cents of every dollar, goes to patient treatment. And it's not going to actually solving for the underlying problem. And that gap today, or 20 years ago, researchers, there was only a handful, frankly, of researchers around the world who had access to the computing resources and platforms. And even today, right, you'd be surprised to learn that there is still a significant supply-demand gap between the demand that researchers have and the gap in fact is growing every year. And even though we in Canada, our tax dollars go towards a non-government organization, an NGO that builds and operates a supercompute platform for scientists. They just cannot keep up with the demand. So we've really come in and we've addressed this gap in the marketplace. And I'm a serial entrepreneur. I did all sorts of interesting things. Two or three times CEO, and always looking for the next great commercial application, right, to build a business around. And what we found in working now, in this environment is that we're harnessing and building a social enterprise by doing all the great things that happen here at Invest Ottawa, right, or at LSpark, right, or other tech incubators where we're taking best of breed, good governance approaches to the way we operate our business, best of breed marketing approaches to how we build and communicate to the marketplace. We're a very agile technology development environment and team, and it all comes together in this environment where we're kind of filling what I call this. We operate in this Goldilocks zone, and that's really the core of our business model. And that Goldilocks zone is this interesting place in time where the market for startups, some of them here, start to deploy their own technology, or any companies that are running their own technology infrastructure. They typically run it in a production environment for 3 to 5 years. That coincides very nicely with the tax write-downs that are available. So if it's a capital good, it's a server or a storage array, whatever it might be, they're permitted under Canadian taxation rules to write down a percentage of that as they depreciate that cost. And at the end of that period of time, 3 to 5 years, typically that piece of equipment has been replaced by new equipment that, Moore's Law, it is bigger, better, faster, and cheaper, right? It operates cheaper, so less power for cooling, less power, direct power consumption, and it should perform better. That's what the market, and that's the natural replacement cycle. And we live in this Goldilocks zone where we actually, in a not-for-profit model, take goods, take the computer equipment from our corporate sponsors, a growing list of great organizations that recognize that they can take that gear. We then provide them a charitable tax receipt, which reflects the market price of that used equipment. We clean that gear up. Roy and the team reconfigure the gear, optimize the gear, and then it's redeployed in data centers, which are our other corporate partners on the other side of the business model, who operate a cancer computer node. And the costs that they incur for power and cooling, they then donate to us, and then we provide a tax receipt, charitable tax receipt for that. And in a very short period of time, in less than 3 years, right, as Roy indicated, we're now the #1 contributor to the global science grid for medical research on the OSG. So it's amazing what a team of dedicated people can do, and I think we've done something really unique, and we've done it here in Ottawa.
Oh, that's awesome! Wow, that's thank you, and that's it for our show today. That's spectacular. No, I mean, we are so proud. Yourself, Tyler, as you mentioned, a CEO of a few companies as well, and a few well-known companies in the city as well. What was the drive for you to start this company? I know it's almost obvious of what you've mentioned now. Yes, the gap that's there, the opportunity to bring the non-for-profit and bring these corporations together to work together for this cause. But what made you thought, okay, that's great. I've had a good time. I've built some great companies. Let's tackle something else. Let's push the envelope again.
Sure. Well, actually, honestly, the credit goes to this gentleman right here. Roy and I, in an odd twist of, every story has an underlying story. In an odd twist of fate, Roy and I actually, grew up in the same small town up the Ottawa Valley in Petawawa, Pembroke area. We went to high school together, and kind of fell out of touch, after high school, and ran into each other. And Roy started to tell me with a great deal of passion how he had, found this Goldilocks zone, right? He's really had created this really interesting business model, and I had just recently lost a brother to a very rare form of a lung disease, and cancer, touches many of our personal lives. And so, the conviction that Roy put forward and the team that he had started to assemble was just astounding. And I think, we all as entrepreneurs, I think we reach a point in our careers where, yeah, there's always a what's next. I'm already working on, startup number 6. It's in my head. I'm always looking for that next challenge. But at a certain point, you realize the skills that we assemble through life and the experiences can be kind of, pivoted towards and accomplishing really cool things, amazing things, with, just the bare minimum of resources. It's amazing what you can do. So, it's our way, I think, of giving back. It's our way of, I hope, if we can, frankly, if we think about what is the future of Cancer Computer, we're growing as fast as we can keep up with on a part-time basis with an all-volunteer organization, and we always need more volunteers. So if you have an interest, certainly reach out to us over social media or over the website or email, and we'd be happy to put you to work, as it were. But I think we're right, frankly, on the cusp now, both from benefiting from corporate sponsors who are lining up to support our cause and to further our cause, and donations that are coming in from across the country. We're partnered with Benevity, which is a giving platform for corporations, and are just about to start our first kind of outbound donation campaign. And I think, within the next year, we'll have our first kind of full-time employees, which will be amazing. We have office space, actually in the old Invest Ottawa building on the 3rd floor, courtesy of one of our corporate partners, ISM. And so we're really on the cusp of I think, doing this, frankly, full-time. I think there's going to need to be a team that shows up and does this full-time every day, which we hope to accomplish by the end of this year. And I think beyond that, through a series of conversations like this, TED Talks or other things that we want to be involved with, teaching others around the world, frankly, how you can do this in your own backyard, right? That, where Cancer Computer is not going to be the one organization that is run from Ottawa that does this. We're not going to be centralized. I think our vision is to continue to adapt and refine the business model, and then to show and certainly the technology model, the infrastructure and the fabric that Roy and the team have assembled is astounding. And the amount of remote automation and the ability to remotely configure and manage the nodes is state of the art from a cloud compute platform, a supercompute platform perspective. So we're doing really novel things, right, in core and underlying technology. So if we could, 3 or 4 years from now, stand in front of a TED Talk and teach others around the world how to replicate the Cancer Computer model in Prague and San Francisco and, in Rio, wherever it might be around the world, just think how much we could accomplish, how many researchers could get access to free or near free compute resources. And I think, we'll advance, certainly, and give all of those researchers the tools they need, to be successful.
Yeah, I wanted to say that exactly to touch on what you just said is that when I was invited to the all-hands meeting of the Open Science Grid, they were astounded that a not-for-profit would want to take this on, and they loved it. So, and they're really encouraged by our growth. So they're very, very happy. We've had some conversations with them, and we've proven the business model. We were saying that, look, we can get a donated server that might be worth 1/100th of what it was before, but we're still going to take 70% of the compute power from it because code doesn't keep up with Moore's law, right? It's always, it requires a lot of effort to use these new instruction sets that come on the newer generation processors. So yeah, I'm very excited. The next step, I think we've got some work in AI we're going to do, so that's really exciting. The preliminary work we've done is just astounding. So productionalizing that is going to be fun. I'm off to Minneapolis in April to deploy a cluster. The University of Minneapolis-St. Paul has gifted us a couple of racks there, so that's wonderful. We've just brought on board John Towns, magnificent gentleman. He's in charge of the extreme science and engineering discovery environment in the United States, and I think the executive director of the National Center for Supercomputer Applications. So when you get
but really just
top talent, and when you, so we've been validated from this sort of thing. So it's just wonderful. So we're looking forward to some continued growth for sure. So.
Wow, it sounds like I was like, where have you been? We should have got you here ages ago. So I'm so glad that we get to talk about this, and it's so wonderful to see that you're at this cusp where you're now looking to even hire more employees as well and growing. And it is so ironic that we're sitting here today in Invest Ottawa's new location, and you're in their old location on Aberdeen, which is great. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations on all the great work that you've done so far. We are so proud to have a company like this right here in Ottawa, and also a company that's dedicated to build a global movement and support system to help change the world from a researcher perspective, and hopefully even from a cancer perspective as well. So thank you so much, Tyler. Thank you so much, Roy, for joining us today. So guys, if you've joined us here on Techopia Live, make sure you join us each and every single Monday and Wednesday, and throughout the week as we are showcasing amazing tech talent, amazing tech companies as we take over the world one step at a time. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day.